All right, let's talk a little bit more about Christian tribes. I put out a video last week based on a side project that I'm working on, trying to identify modern ecosystems within Western Christianity. It's kind of wonkish, may not be interesting to you at all, so feel free to pass over this video. But again, this was just based off of my own experience as I'm seeing loud voices from different sectors of Christianity. I'm a guy that likes containers. Like, wait, okay, when you're talking and telling me this is what it means to be a real Christian, who else agrees with you? And what ecosystem are you a part of? So I'm putting out there into the world this idea that there are now these Christian ecosystems, different from denominations, different maybe from the church you attend. These are formative ecosystems that are influencing the ideas of Christians Monday through Saturday. And you may have a church, you may attend a church where they may identify with a denomination, but at the same time, their pastor and their leadership, they really are drawing most of their material from a particular ecosystem or a couple different closely aligned ecosystems. So I've made some updates. I launched this now on christiantribes.com if you want to check it out. Let me walk through some of the updates that I've made to the site. All right, here we are at christiantribes.com. I've done some significant improvements. Right off the bat, you'll see that the ecosystem map on the homepage is no longer a circle. It's two arches. That should make it a little bit more easy to read, and there aren't words overlapping each other. And we have the expanding ecosystems and the influential ecosystems. And you're like, well, what's that? What's the difference between the two? I'm glad you asked. So if you go to the ecosystems tab and you go to the top, what you'll see here is this expanding classification or explanation, really, of expanding versus influential ecosystems. And I'm tracking four things: pipeline velocity, reproductive capacity, institutional depth, and fragmentation risk. Now, I've done all this project in collaboration with AI. I'm using AI to help me create the categories here and do the analysis. And so that is the difference between expanding and influential ecosystems. And so now when you go on to an individual ecosystem, let's take the formation ecosystem, for example, you can see there's a quick summary at the top of the page that explains that ecosystem according to those four criterias. And so check that out. That's another fun piece of the site. I have added a new page that's called Theological Maps. And these are maps that track either on a spectrum or a XY axis where these different ecosystems land in relationship to one another. The first theological map is cultural engagement strategy. So we have here on the left, we have this idea of the church is losing its convictions versus the church is causing harm, right? So on one far side of the spectrum, we have an ecosystem that looks at the church and says, man, it's lost its conviction. It's doing a horrible job of being the church. And then you have a whole nother set of ecosystems, the opposite of that are saying, man, the church is causing so much harm within society. Along the bottom here, on this axis, we have the ecosystems that are engaging culture on one side. And then we have on the other side, ecosystems that are saying, forget engaging culture. We're going to build an alternative modern culture. And so, for example, on the upper left-hand side, you're going to have the deconstruction and progressives. They're going to say that the church is causing harm and they're trying to engage culture. In the lower right-hand side, opposite of that, you're going to have the Moscow tribe, and you're going to have the Theobros. And they're going to be saying, hey, let's build an alternative culture. The church has totally lost its convictions. We need a stronger church that's going to just make something completely as an alternative. So that's the first map. The second map here is the authority style for the ecosystem. There are 4 different types of influence or authority structures. The first is institutional and credentialed authority. The second is the charismatic influencer authority structure. And the third is the ancient traditional structure. So if we go up here, you'll see that when it comes to like institutional or credentialed ecosystems, you'll have the Korean American Presbyterian networks. You'll have the diaspora mega church networks. You'll have the institutionalists, SBC and adjacent. And what this means is, so you probably need to go through one of those ecosystem seminaries, be ordained as a pastor in one of those seminaries, or whatever term they use to call their leadership. And then you are an authority figure in the ecosystem. On the other side, in the right-hand corner here, we have the ecosystems that are led more by charismatic influencer type authorities. And that's going to be the Moscow ecosystem, the Manosphere, Theobros. We've got the prophetic Black Church. So those are the charismatic influencer ecosystems. And the last one is just the 2 here for ancient traditional. This is authority grounded in like the church fathers. There's continuity. There's apostolic succession ideas. And there's just 2. There's the Anglican renewal and ancient future. There's a third map that'll be on here by the time this gets out. And that's a map that just charts gender theology and where each ecosystem falls when it comes to complementarian versus egalitarian. And you'll find that, again, on the Theological Maps page. Another thing that I've added here is more information just about Christian tribes as a website. It answers why the project exists, which is important because it is kind of a weird project. You may ask the question, why isn't my church listed on here? Why isn't my denomination listed? And so this attempts to answer those questions as well. There's a pastoral question here that gets asked and answered as well. Last feature that I added is this feature here, this button. This is where you can engage the website yourself, and you can do a AI-based interview. It'll ask you 6 questions. I think it says 6 here. It's probably 7 or 8 questions that it's going to ask you. It takes maybe 5 minutes. They're great questions. You can start the conversation. So go through that conversation if that's interesting to you and you want to see. Again, I'm trying not to push people to be tribal. Even my own ministry is ecumenical in disposition, but also convictional. I'm not trying to advocate for the splintering of Christianity. I'm just trying to state, here's what the map looks like right now. This may change. In fact, I did add one new ecosystem, which is just mainline denominationalism. I think it's called mainline institutions, and that's an ecosystem to itself. Check it out. Hopefully it's helpful, fun to play with, and I'd love to hear your feedback. God bless you.